Hello, this is Amy Adams from the Mindful Soul Center. Welcome to the Chakras Masterclass replay. This was recorded on October 22nd, 2020, and it previews the 7 primary chakras and goes through a series of other related topics. And this is basically a prerequisite for an upcoming 2-part series of workshops, and it's loaded with lots of information. We did have some technical difficulties, but they did work out, and I've tried to delete as much of those errors as possible. But enjoy and feel free to email me with any questions. It's amy@themindfulsoulcenter.com. Now let's get started. All right, I think it's going live. I'm going to just start because I don't want to keep waiting for Facebook. I think hopefully it'll just keep going. So welcome everyone. I'm Amy. I am a yoga teacher, a Reiki Master, and I have a magazine called Mindful Soul Center. And I love spirituality and yoga. I'm very passionate about it. So if you don't know me, some of you know me, but if you don't, you can ask me any questions at the end also. But I do want to, before we even start, I want to tell you that some of the different teachings that are in this class are from living swamis and from deceased ones. So I do have some different kind of guru type people that I really am, that I enjoy. Like there's Swami Sarva Priyananda, and then there's in the New York Vedanta Society, and then there's Muji, and there's also Swami Tadatmananda, and then there's a bunch of deceased swamis, and then of course I learned a lot also from my own yoga teachers and my yoga training from Devarit Yoga Sangha. So at the end, if anybody's interested in how to connect and find more information about those different swamis, just let me know and I will share information, because there are a lot of lectures and really great material that's available, and it's free on YouTube and SoundCloud and those kinds of things. So, okay, one last thing. So I think it's actually letting me do it. Okay. Oh, there we go. I think. Okay, did something weird. All right, well, today we're going to talk about the what and why about chakras and why they're important, how we can balance them and how we can unblock them. And we're going to talk about some of the issues that come up for each particular chakra. So we'll go through chakra by chakra, but before we even do that, we're going to do some other like first we'll do the why and like kind of the precursor and about a little bit about spiritual practice. So let's see, let's do this. Okay, so and at the very end we'll have a Q&A, and then I will tell you a little bit about the other workshops that I will be holding that are separate and they're paid. It's not, but this class isn't about me just trying to sell you workshops. This is serious stuff that we need to know about. Okay, so I don't know, did anybody, are you doing the mudra? I mean, it's supposed to be very energizing, and I'm wondering, has anybody felt anything from doing it, or do they feel more peaceful, or is there any kind of noticeable difference besides being agitated with me because my chakra class is late and messed up?
Well, I think it must be making me more peaceful because I'm just calmly sitting here.
I'm glad. If my slides would appear, I mean, I don't even care if you see them in a different window or some weird thing, you know what I mean? I just want you to see them. So let's do something right here. take these other notes and put them to the side. So, okay. So we already did the what and the why, but I wanted to just say about teachers and doctrines and about your own responsibility and information that we learn that is, I mean, this stuff is ancient stuff. It's thousands of years old. Chakras did change over the years. There were considered one less chakra, and also they had different colors and some kinds of different things like that. But they do now coordinate with the color spectrum that we can see. So, you know, how we see like the rainbow spectrum. So basically it does go in the same sequence as that, from red to kind of like this white light. So anyway, you know, we are basically responsible for everything that we take in. And unfortunately, we live in a climate of fake news, and, you know, it gets confusing with the internet and everything else. So all of these teachings, though, are from also like the Upanishads and from different things like that, too. So again, as I mentioned, at the end, if you want information, you know, on different teachers and stuff, I'll be happy to share that with you. But I really like this quote with Alan Watts, who was a great philosopher and Zen master. And he says, "We do not know where we came from and where we will go. You and I, we do not know both of these things. We can have faith in a belief system, a teacher, or teachings, but that won't change the fact that we do not know. When we blindly cling to religions, spiritual ideals, doctrines, and teachers, and expect them to fulfill our own need to grant us something outside of us, it will ultimately lead to disillusionment." So just reaffirming my, you know, use your discretion and discrimination. So why balance the chakras? So basically, we have a lot of disruption in our lives. I mean, not just from a kind of societal problems, but we have our own personal challenges and dilemmas that we encounter. And these struggles impact our body because we have our emotions, our feelings, we have different bodies, which we're going to go over some of that too. Because we have the physical body, the pranic body, and some other things. But the whole point of this is that the chakra system is something that is superimposed basically on our body. And it goes from the base of our spine through the top of our head, the crown. I mean, some people say and of course, we also have many more chakras in our body. I think there's 114 kind of bigger ones. And then it is linked to this system called the nadis, but I don't really want to get into that because that's like kind of like meridians. It kind of corresponds to all these different energy systems through the years, and they do relate to more modern science as well. So, but there's some controversy on whether or not, you know, all of these energy points are chakras. From some of the teachings that I've learned, that I think there's about 114 or something like that, but 7 of them are our primary ones. And starting from the ground up, it goes from the root chakra. And this kind of our lower chakras are the chakras that are more of our animal nature. And then we enter into the heart, and then from the heart and above is the higher chakras, and that is more of our connection to the divine, to our humanness. So again, I love this quote. I'm not going to read you quotes the whole time, but I think this is something that really hits home to me, because when I was younger, I didn't always understand, you know, I think sometimes we're raised a certain way. We kind of have certain expectations, and we think that somebody's going to save us or something. So of all the people you will know in a lifetime, you are the only one you will never leave or lose. To the question of your life, you are the only answer. To the problems of your life, you are the only solution. And that's Joe Couder. So balancing our chakras moves us from fear to love, from shadow to light. And as I said, we have the 7 main ones that we're going to review, and they do correspond to our endocrine system. For instance, like the throat chakra is the thyroid. So there's different things that they actually do physically align to them, but they're not visible. These are invisible energy systems. And this is the thing that brings our life force, prana, chi, and it brings through our body. So, and now there is also Kundalini yoga, and there's awakening, this kind of spiritual practice where you awaken from the root chakra and go up. And we're not really going to talk about detailed Kundalini yoga or anything like that. Basically, we're going to just go over the kind of general idea about chakras and, the kind of attributes and things that can become problematic and why it's important to deal with them. So, they also, this pranic body intertwines with our thoughts and feelings and our physical body. So we can also develop physical and mental illnesses if we are not in harmony with our being. So chakras are also, they're represented as lotus flowers. So you'll have at the base, there's 4 petals, so they all have different petals. And the crown chakra has 1,000 petals, but all of the other ones have smaller amounts of petals, and they have like different symbolic meanings. But when we think about it, a chakra is a wheel, like it's shown here with the in this kind of relief sculpture. Now, we're not going to think of it as a wheel that is like 2-dimensional, flat on us. Instead, you're going to kind of flip it on the side and think of it as a lotus flower blossoming up, opening upward. So this is how you would imagine them, like kind of stacked on top of one another. And the different, I think this is kind of fascinating. I think there's 56 letters in the Sanskrit alphabet, but 50 of the petals of the first 6 chakras are associated with 1 letter of the Sanskrit alphabet each. So now Sanskrit, I don't know. I actually struggle a lot with pronouncing Sanskrit words. So I like to always have them in parentheses and the English because it is difficult for me sometimes. But it is considered like the first language, and it is Om is even the first sound. And from Om, all of the other sounds come. And this is kind of a little bit about Sanskrit. And we'll talk a little bit more about mantra soon, because each chakra has a mantra associated with it. So they all have corresponding elements. They have deities. They have animals, and in this case here you'll see this is a 7-trunked elephant, and this is the root chakra. It's the 4 petaled lotus, and then this is kind of like the pelvic area, so they have the bone here, the pelvis shown. So there are specific body parts also associated with each chakra. So, and as I mentioned earlier, we have, this is kind of the sequence now. So we go from the red, orange, yellow, and just like the can't remember the spectrum of light. It's right there in front of me. Okay, so I wanted to just ask you, I mean, do you acknowledge energy? Do you believe in energy? Do you think this is something that is out of the ordinary. I don't know. I mean, maybe you want to comment, or you could even say, I'm kind of curious if anybody wants to comment. We have a comment section somewhere. And okay. So, okay. So, wait, let's see. Sorry. What happened? The chat. Okay. Okay. So, chakras are the bridge between the physical and the subtle bodies. And this is a really beautiful metaphor for kind of spiritual life, because we have like a secular life and we have a spiritual life. And a lot of times we think of them as two kinds of things. And the reason why I want to bring this up, while we're talking about chakras, because chakras are this bridge that is connecting us. It's connecting our life force with our physical body. It's connecting all of our bodies kind of together. So I wanted to just talk about this because you don't need to believe in a religion or a specific deity or something like that in order to be able to understand that chakras are this energy system. So let's see. And also the other thing is I think one of the things that kind of happens when a lot of us are on a spiritual journey, we kind of want to go into this, of course we want to have experiences, right? From meditation or from yoga or different things. We want to have a spiritual experience maybe, and the brain can produce these things, but we don't need to go into a cave or like go meditate and cut ourselves off from reality in order to do that. So let's see. So I wanted to talk about, like I said, that we do have our gross physical body, but our gross physical body it's not able to function without this, the energetic body, the life force that comes into us. So it's called the pranamaya kosha, and it's generated by fire and air, and our breath feeds the fire. And now the fire is like the sun is our life-giving force that is actually nurturing the earth and our own being. And it's creating everything that we can eat and take into our bodies, because eating also is how our physical body is maintained and continues to rebuild itself. So if the energy body stops functioning, the physical body also withers and dies. So both the physical gross body and the energetic body are in the kind of cycle of life and death, and kind of a continual perpetual cycle. So here's another little quote with my quotes. I promise this is the last one. So if quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. And this is the physicist Niels Bohr. I was going to do the Prana Mudra with everyone here, but since we've already done that, we'll just move right past it. So I think one of the things to think about with our physical body and our senses and how we're limited by them, but the actual physical eye is a thing. It is an object and it's a tool, but it cannot see itself. So you are the seer. This is the same with consciousness. This is the kind of concept that, if you think about it, your eye on its own, it is just a thing. It is taking in information, but you yourself cannot see your eye, whereas you can see other things around you. So the path of spirituality is really the connection between the ineffable. Now, I do like to call, because there's so many different terms for like source or consciousness or the universe, the higher self, the greater being, the supreme consciousness, or whatever. I like to just call it the ineffable, because the ineffable is something that we really are incapable of understanding, because we are living in physical bodies. So the path of yoga is a spiritual path, and that's one kind of spiritual path. There are other ones, but basically spirituality is the connection with the ineffable and the world, and both of them are equally important. We don't need to kind of separate them, because this comes into this concept of Advaita, which is non-duality. So basically it says that the deeper understanding is that the path of knowledge, or the path of action, the secular life and the spiritual life, are really not something, they're basically the same. So we can integrate them. We don't have to have them as separate things. And even I can't speak on this, but there are like arguments about how you can actually not even be spiritual and end up still becoming enlightened, basically through non-duality. So but basically spiritual life simply means that you come to the realization that you are an infinite being, and you are the infinite awareness, the isness, and that we remember that we're not who we think we are. And where secular life is the worldly life, and our identities are multiple, and we think that we're the body a lot, and we're really not. And that's kind of coming back to the consciousness, to the I. We are the seer, we're the experiencer, we're witnessing our life. So here's just a little, I threw this one in here because I loved the kind of little metaphor, like the soul is the wave and the spirit is the ocean. We're not really separate. So with Advaita and the non-duality, I mean, if I was sitting across the table from you and we were both sitting at a table, and on the table was a piece of paper with a number written on it, and the number was 9, on your side, you would see it and you would see 6. So it's kind of like these different perspectives, and they're both existing. They're both correct. So that was just to kind of make the point of the similarity. So the mind, body, soul connection is why the chakras are important also, because they are the bridge between the physical and subtle bodies. But they're not only keeping, they're this bridge. You're able to get to one place to another. You're able to have your physical life, but you're also like, it's above and below there's space. You know what I mean? It's like, it's only like this thing that can help link these other bodies together. So the ways that the chakras get blocked are lack of self-love, fear, not being able to make changes, being untrue to self. And in the chakras themselves, we will see very specific things that conditions based on that chakra. But there's emotional exhaustion. Comparison is one, because when we're not accepting what is, we can get into this kind of cycle. And our physical bodies store these emotions. They store these attitudes and thoughts, and these create the problems that then create disease. So blockages basically are dissatisfaction. It can be like frustration, But the chakras themselves, we can have just one out of balance, but it's going to affect our whole entire being. Because if the energy isn't moving kind of fluidly, then besides having a physical symptom that can make us sick, we can also just, it can show up in other anxiety and other things as well. But we want to have it always working smoothly. So when we're, one of the things that is really important too is to also think about if you feel like you have some kind of problem, right? You want to maybe work on the third eye chakra, because this is kind of your connection to your intuition. And if you're feeling stuck and blocked, you don't really know why something is happening in your life, or why you're stuck, or why you can't move forward, if you really work and meditate on this chakra, it's basically to opening up and clearing it. You want to do that because then you want to enhance your imagination and intuition, and that in itself will allow you to be more in touch with your full body and be able to know where problems are. So we want to get to before something becomes like a full-blown problem, we want to be able to kind of keep healing and balancing. And I want to just talk about this. I was going to open with this, but when I was, let me see, 95, I think it was like 25 years ago, 25 years ago, yes. Now he's not, but I had a husband, and he had a very complicated problem. Basically had clinical death and came back to life. He had a traumatic brain injury. And I'm bringing this up because one of the reasons I really suffered a lot from that, even though I was not the person who had the brain injury. I had a lot of emotional problems from having this. I was pretty young. And the thing that really got me through it was these kinds of chakra balancing, these energy healings, going for different treatments that could help me align and become more healthy. Because I actually did even manifest something which I believe came directly from the fact that I felt burdened. I developed a growth on my spine. I had like a small tumor, and luckily it didn't attach to any things that could really hurt me. And it turned out to be benign, but I had to have surgery to have it removed, because basically I felt burdened. I felt like I was carrying the world on my back. Now, obviously there are diseases that we're going to have because we live in a toxic environment or something like that. I mean, my father grew up, actually his house was right next door to an aluminum factory. And then he ended up having, ALS in his, when he was much older. But I also know a couple of other people who worked, in another state in aluminum factories, and they actually developed that disease as well. So I'm not saying that, we can balance our chakras all we want, but if we live in a toxic environment, we can still get sick. I just want to kind of make that clear, because I know a lot of people, when they talk about this stuff, it's like, oh, well, you can heal yourself. Well, sometimes, if you're drinking poison your entire life, you can't really heal yourself. So I just want to bring that up because it's a problem. I feel like sometimes when we talk about this stuff, and I do believe in the power of healing, I really do. But I also think, we don't want to blame people for circumstances like this that have happened, because there are some environmental factors that we can't control. So, okay, we already talked about the endocrine. Okay, so this is the methods to balance the chakras. So there are things like aromatherapy, Reiki is known to use chakras and work on balancing them. Acupuncture, acupressure, because as I mentioned earlier, like the nadis and the meridians and all of those different things, these are all the carriers of energy, this pranic energy. So shiatsu or Thai massage, because that also uses pressure points, and then even like any kind of massage really. Sound healing, singing bowls, tuning forks, mantras, which we're going to get into that in a minute, and then visualization, and of course, all the yogic practices of asanas or meditation. So, now mantra is sound, and sound is vibration, and everything that like we all have this pranic energy that is flowing through us, but we also have vibratory patterns. So because of them, this creates the movement in our bodies of all of our, you know, our blood, our different systems. But we each chakra has a seed sound. So it's basically like a one syllable mantra that is related to that. So this is one method that you could use that if you were having a problem. So, you know, I mean, you could even, like, maybe you've heard stories like this even where like somebody, you know, a beloved person dies and the person on the anniversary has heart palpitations or something because they're brokenhearted, but they actually have real physical symptoms. I mean, these are real stories of things like this happening. But like doing these kinds of mantras, you know, help to create peace in the body and to kind of realign things. So what I wanted to do before we get into every single chakra, because, you know, I wanted to go do the root chakra first, and then let's do like a 2 grounding exercises with that, and like a little, just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to the other ones. So with the root chakra, we have, it's called the Muladhara. And that was the one that I showed you earlier with the 4 petals where it had the 7-trunked elephant. And the mantra is Lum. It's not lamb, but Lum. And in this, when we have problems with security, because this is our survival. This is our base. This is how we're connected to the earth. And it's related to passion and the color red, and it's at the base of the spine, and there's a sense for each chakra, and it's smell for this one. But security issues, worry, depression, feeling ungrounded, feeling like you can't survive. So when you are able to feel grounded, it means that you're able to go out more into the world, and it's your seat of power, really. And you can go out into the world and do things, but it doesn't mean that you're going to overpower somebody. It just means that you are confident and strong, and you're able to do this. Now, because I don't have my notes from the other thing, I just have to use my notebook. So I'm just flipping a little bit. I don't want to forget some very important things, which I think this one, okay. There we go. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so the root chakra also, so every chakra has kind of like a light and dark side. So, you know, I mean, like our dark side is that we are worried, or we have anxiety, or we're repressing our true nature. So we might have limiting beliefs that of not being our authentic self, because maybe we feel like we're we're unsafe in the world even. And if we're going to be our authentic self, then we're going to be rejected, or we're going to be unsafe. Like if we're just going to follow other people's rules or, kind of societal things, because we feel like this is the way that we can be safe. We have to do it because we have to go take that corporate job, or we have to go do X, Y, and Z, because that creates a sense of safety. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody should, run rampant, but being safe is an important, secure thing, because when we come from that place of safety, though, we are able to flourish and able to kind of move up the chain and not be just stuck in this kind of place. So I wanted to do the grounding exercise because the Muladhara chakra is really, this is our connection to the earth. So I don't know I guess if all of you guys are, I don't know if you're in a place where you can stand or not, but I would love it if you could just stand, and I hope you can see me well enough. I'm going to, here, I'll try to put this down. I know my little screen is very, I can stop share maybe so it can, let me do this so I can, because I want you to be able to see my feet. It's a little bit hard because it's a little dark, but basically I want you to stand, I'll guide you verbally through this. So with your feet hip width distance apart. And then I want you to really, like, you can roll forward on your toes, and then maybe to the side on the right, and then to the back, and then to the left, and then let your feet come down. So even if you're in shoes or bare feet or whatever, really try to feel, your feet on the ground, the balls of your feet, the sides of your feet, every single outer edge of your foot. I want you to really feel that. And feel like your kneecaps lifting up. And then I want you to even like shrug your shoulders and roll them back. And then place your hands alongside your body and push down. I want you to like push straight down. They can be close to your body for this one, because then we'll release them. And really make that active, like pushing them straight. Your fingertips are going down into the ground. Your feet, imagine that there are roots coming from your feet, and they are going down deep into the earth. Maybe tuck in your tailbone if you feel like your back isn't straight. And then you can just look straight forward. Maybe you can look at the tip of your nose, or you can find a place to look at on the wall, or, whatever you're viewing, wherever you are. And just breathe in and out through your nose. Now breathe in through your nose, and then I want you to exhale through your mouth for a lion's breath. So let's breathe in, and then exhale, and then putting your tongue out. Now I want you to extend your hands a little bit away from your body. And when you're still stable in your feet, and then widen your fingers. Let them spread open. Your palms are facing forward. Maybe notice, how do you feel? Like pulling your shoulders up, but don't pull them too close to your ears. We want to keep our ears away from our shoulders, but maybe our shoulder blades are going down our back. I want you to just stay in this position and close your eyes. And just think about being a mountain. This is Tadasana or mountain pose. And for all the different chakras, there's a lot of different poses that can help you work on different features. So I thought this was a great place that we could just do this one and do it. But imagine being a mountain. You're rooted into the earth. You're stable. You're secure. And you can join me or not, but I would like for us to, while our eyes are closed, to repeat the mantra. So I'm going to repeat it like 10 times, and you can join me. So on the next exhale, it's lum. So it's lum. And if you're muted, no one will hear you. And if you're not muted, I'll hear you, and it'll be beautiful. So we're going to inhale and exhale. Lum. 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 Okay, and just release your hands down, and then just get comfy again. And I don't know, anybody want to share? Did they do the lum? Did they feel the vibration in their body? Any comments or feelings about it? No?
It was definitely relaxing.
Okay. Did you feel the vibration like in your body?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Great. Okay. So these are the kinds of things that I'm going to share the screen again. Let's see, go back to this, Amy. Okay. Okay. So these are the kinds of things that we can do for ourselves to address different things. So there's different poses for every chakra, for every kind of problem. So the next one is the sacral chakra. So we're working our way from the ground up. So this is VUM, is the mantra, and this is our like seat of creativity and sexual energy. And actually, even though this is called our seat of sexual energy, there is some kind of debate about men having their sexual energy in the root chakra and women having it in the sacral chakra or some kind of thing. I mean, it's just a debate. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because I've heard that like conversation that there's differences between the sexes with that particular thing. So, but this is also taste. And of course, like I said, each one has an element. So there's water. And this is the place when we're resistant to change, or if we have a fear of pleasure, a block in creativity, or a sense of emptiness, even, or if physically you could have hip, pelvic, or low back pain, or maybe even reproductive issues. Now, there's a whole other list of more things too, but these are kind of the common things that are associated with this, the sacral chakra. Anyway, so we're just going to move through because we got a late start and I know your time is valuable, and there's still a bunch of chakras. So we'll just go through them and you can ask questions after. So then we have the solar plexus, which is the Manipura chakra, and it's Rum. And this is leadership, ego, and identity. Yellow, the element is fire, and the sense is sight. And this is where we can either feel very powerful or we can be powerless. And this is the place where we can have low self-esteem, and it does kind of rule like the stomach area, because the solar plexus, it's basically above the navel. And although, you know, there's different arguments about exactly where it is too. So, I mean, it's a whole superimposed system. So I don't even know why some people get into those debates personally. So, all right. So the next one is the heart chakra. And this is the place where kind of it brings it all together. And this is where we kind of overcome our animal nature, and we are able to have love and compassion for others, and we're also able to make decisions to live a certain way. This has 12 petals, and it also has, now it's showing the Star of David, but it's basically a Merkaba, which is a three-dimensional figure. So it's like, if you think of this kind of like three-dimensional figure, like up and down. And actually, I do have an article that I shared in the event, and I will share it in the Facebook group also, or if somebody wants a link, just tell me, because that article, it describes in detail much more about that and how that works. Because it's really, that is the place of connection. It's bringing the lower up and the higher down. So, and even scientific fact is we do actually have some kind of neurons in our heart area too. So we do have like neurological transfers between our brain and our heart. So, and there's a whole thing about like getting in harmony with your breath. And this is air, is the element, and prana is the life force, but prana is breath also. It's like the breath of life. So this is when we have problems in the heart chakra, it's lack of trust in others, or even it can be not even loving yourself. Or your inability to receive because you don't feel worthy. This is kind of a place where you could feel a lack of worthiness. So I just wrote here, you know, it's spelled like yam, but really you say it like yum. So I just put like the both ways to say what the mantra was there. And then we have the throat chakra, which is, this is the, okay, I'm not sure it's pronounced correctly. So the Vishuddha, Vishuddha, I think. I'm not, I will correct this for the PDF. But this is our throat, our neck, our ears, and hearing. It's ether or space is the element, and the color is blue. And when we are, you know, when we're flowing and we're okay, we're able to express our opinions. We're able to actually bring we're able to manifest the things that we want, because through words, through our voice, through sound, we bring things to life, essentially, in our reality. So the throat chakra is very important because we can manifest our desires by speaking them. And the this is like allows you to create the life you want. You're asking for what you want. You're saying, I am this, I am that. But when we have a limiting belief of maybe there's not enough resources, or we're afraid to actually ask for what we want, we can have this lack of expression, difficulty communicating. And this also can be very healing and creative chakra, but we can worry about what other people think. So we will censor ourselves even. And then also teeth grinding was one of the physical problems, but any kind of thing that's related to the neck or throat. These are, so you can, a lot of different physical ailments, they would also be like blockages from the throat chakra. Then we have the third eye, which everyone loves the third eye because, this is kind of the place where when we meditate and it's the violet light and we can, our intuition, it's like our sixth sense, and you can really start to feel connected with all that is around you and with different things. I did put in little parentheses, Om, but actually, because again, like with some of these things, these different teachings, Om is really the crown chakra's mantra, but in some other, there's conflicting information based on from different, texts. So I just put it there, but basically this other mantra is Om is technically really the crown chakra. But okay, so let's see what else about the this chakra, because this is a popular one. Okay, where did I put that? Oops, sorry, I just don't want to forget. Okay, so not seeing the obvious. Did I put that? Yes, okay. Let's make sure. And then I think that's, so basically this is the one though, when a lot of times when you get Reiki or some kind of like energy healing things, you might even see like this kind of violet light because it is like your third eye. And this is the place that you want to unblock because you want to be able to use your intuition. And this is the place of connection. So one of the kind of wound of this chakra is the separation from our true nature. It's like forgetting our isness, that we are this consciousness, that we are a spiritual being. And let's see, so feeling stuck, let's see, but you can, okay. So basically when it's open, you're also able to see more possibilities that you might not see before. So the crown, we'll just move on to the crown chakra, which is the, again, I have another error I see. My goodness, I don't know what happened there. I'm sure I changed that. Okay, so the mantra is Om, and this is also problems, disconnection from the entirety of all that is, from the isness. This is being disconnected from this is probably one of the worst things, I think, because this kind of apathy can set in. And so we can maybe feel very alone, or that we're not connected to anybody else and we're not part of a greater something that we can't even understand. This is the 1,000-petaled lotus. And this is the place where we are really connected to the super consciousness, to the divine, to the ineffable. And so when people are meditating, this is a lot of people in their spiritual journey, they want to go from the, all the way down, and they want to kind of reach this kind of high level to be connected. But I think the thing is, when you're in this kind of state of, not even like of ecstasy, but it's just knowing that you are one with the universe. Like you are this kind of, that we all are one, not just you being, it's not like you or something. It's we are all, it's kind of going into the we, from the me to the we. That's probably the better way to say it. So that we're understanding that everything is connected. All of the elements that create everything on the earth were created by elements. We have water in us. We have the prana, the fire energy. A house is made of like wood or concrete or whatever, all of these different components. So it's the same kind of thing. So we recognize that all of these elements are creating everything in our reality. So when you're disconnected from this kind of thing, besides kind of meditation or kinds of things like that, one thing that you can do is you can monitor your relationship with nature. You can just get out into nature. You can, your circadian rhythms, your sleep rhythms, you can kind of if you're menstruating, you can be more in tune with that. Really try to connect with these different kinds of changes that are happening, even like the seasons or the sunrise and the sunset and, the moon cycles and these kinds of things, just to kind of reconnect with this chakra. So in the beginning, we kind of just mentioned that the personal body, that gross body, our physical body is made of physical matter. And then we have the energetic body, which generated by fire and air. It feeds, breath feeds the fire. And this is our life force that flows through us. Now, those two bodies, when, are on the cycle of like life and death and aging, and then then there's other bodies. There's the extended body, the astral body, and that includes the ego, and it's who we think we are, self-image, identity. And this is like the mind, basically. The mental body is the Manamaya Kosha. And this is the body made of thought processes and is responsible for our sensory and motor activities. So like if a thought comes into our mind, like we decide that we're going to do something, we make a decision, and then we take action, and then our senses, kind of get prepared, and then we move into this next action, and the whole process happens, and we react to it. So then we have there's two more bodies. There's this other layer that is said to survive death, and this is the consciousness, will, and higher mind that compromise. Is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. And one of the things that it talks about, and some of these ancient teachings, I'm really in agreement with a lot of these ideas, but this whole idea of us, so they're saying that in this particular body, this is what gives us judgment and discernment. So we have choice, whereas other species on this planet don't necessarily have that. But I'm not so sure that's true for, maybe whales and elephants and different things. So I just always take some of the stuff with a grain of salt, because yes, we do have judgment and discernment, and we are dominating the earth. But I'm not necessarily sure it's because we're the only ones that have judgment and discernment. So, And then we have the causal body of who we are, which is the spiritual body of the greater vast consciousness. It's our, this is the kind of like, this is a very thin veil between that super consciousness, the ineffable, and us. This is our, like that little, it's like a thin piece of paper. So, anyway, there's a little bit more about that, where basically this Ananda means bliss. And Maya basically means made of, so it's made of bliss. And the Shakti energy is like a goddess energy, which is the cosmos. And then there's Shiva, which is the divine consciousness. And they kind of are in love and embrace. And this is where spirit and matter embrace. So this is like where pure joy is, and nothingness at the same time. So there's 3 practices to awaken it, and there's selfless service, devotion to God. I wasn't even going to use the word God, but because I know people sometimes don't like that, but you know, that's basically how it's taught. So, and then let's see. So selfless service, bhakti yoga, which is just one, it's like a devotional kind of yoga. And we have a bunch of different kinds of yoga, but we're not going to get into all that too. So I think that about covers it. I don't want to take all your time. I mean, there was even more stuff in my notes, but I think we got a pretty good a good overview without overwhelming everyone too. So does anybody have any questions or anything? Nothing?
That was very informative. It's a lot of information to digest
I know it is a lot
when you're not familiar, you know, but yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so I am going to do some other workshops. I just want to let you guys know I am going to do some other workshops. There's 2 of them next week and the following week. It's like $47 for both of them, and they're going to actually go into each chakra and the problems and do some yoga poses, mudras, and kinds of little cures, so to speak. So
We need it.
so I will be posting information in the event about that too. I mean, I think I will also be sharing that as events also, but if anyone's interested. But I really want to thank all of you for being here today, and I really appreciate your patience, because honestly, the beginning was painful for everyone I know. So I'm glad that you are all here, and there will be the recording of it, hopefully, if all this stuff worked, because who knows. That will be in the Facebook group. It'll also be in the thing where people registered. There's like a place. There's a place on the internet. So if you're registered, it will be uploaded there as well. And you're going to need to give me like 2 days so I can sort out my technology and get these corrections. And I'm going to share the PDF with everyone too, so that they can have it. And anyway, yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
On your 2-session class, you'll be going into the practice more of the, as you mentioned, the pose that's appropriate to the chakra and the chant.
Well, I mean, that's just a part of it. I mean, we really have to talk about because there's a lot more about each chakra, believe it or not.
Right. So you'll be going into that.
So it'll be kind of like today, except for today we did 7 chakras, and we did a lot of the spiritual practice and some other stuff. So this other one will be just more focused on the chakras because we already covered like this basic stuff. And then we'll do some kinds of techniques that would work for those different chakras. But we'll actually talk more about like which kinds of problems you could have a little bit in more detail, you know,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So I want to thank you again, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Amy.
You can find more resources and information at themindfulsoulcenter.com. Namaste.